Now, the umbrella body of Nigeria's labor movement, that's the Nigeria Labour Congress, has sounded the alarm regarding what could be the final reaction of the public if the federal government fails to resolve the ongoing cash crunch in the country. Now, with the situation getting worse 5 days to Christmas, the Congress said in a statement by its national president, Joe Ajero, that the situation is likely to have serious implications for the citizens, insisting that urgent steps must be taken to address it. Well, Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to have a quick discussion on this issue. Good afternoon and welcome to the program. Great to have you as always. Right. Yes, I believe they call it Groundhog Day when it feels like you're living the same day over and over again. It feels like this scenario has played out before. What's your take on these statements by the NLC?
I think it's a fair and very timely warning. And it's a very responsible warning. And I advise government to take it seriously and very urgently. You see, in their statement, they made reference to what they call social contract. In political science, social contract is the arrangement and understanding between the ruler and the ruled, between the government and the governed. It's a very simple thing, that there is a mandate given in a democracy to a government of the day to look out for its people. But if the government fails to honor that obligation, then the citizenry is not under any obligation to toe the line of government. That is why the NLC is saying that government should avoid a revolution. It is not a hostile call, it is a welfareist call. And they are still being involved in what I would call integrative industrial relations. And I doff my hat to them. Because look at we discussed this issue about 2 days ago. We're talking of, maybe NLC is listening seriously to what we say here. Sure. You're talking.
Maybe we went to the ATM.
So it's not a matter of hoarding or false availability and all that. The scarcity is there, and it is biting. And it is seasonal. This is utility season. And the banks know that. The banks know that. The banks, they have companies who are their customers, they have cash flow. They know what cash flow means. They know what working capital means. They know how they calculate the cash ratio for these customers. Look at it on 3 planes now. You have institutions who have employees, they will pay salary, they will pay so many things. But if they do not have access to their money, how will they pay those people? Look at the family heads or even single parents who have children who have to go to school. If they have no cash on hand, that's liquidity. Even in banking, they say that cash is better than profit. Cash is availability of funds for you to sort out your immediate needs. And that is what the quality of life means. For you to be able to fulfill your needs and wants as at where due. That is what the boy is telling government. And I'm sure this government too understands. They understand and they should fulfill their obligations. Make money available. The central bank is the lender of the last resort to banks. The banks are afloat, they are making profit. Go and find out. Even Zenith had the grand award of recent. Go and look at the books of the banks. They are laughing all the way to the banks, even though they are the banks. You get me? Whereas their customers cannot access their money. They will give an example that if you want to withdraw 10,000, you pay 400 to IPOS. See, I don't want to be personal. I can't remember when last I went to a bank. I will see, and I would rather pay for the convenience of having my money immediately. But then, how many people can afford that? How many people can afford that? You remember the currency redesign and the hardship, how people are queuing up outside banks? If you do not take care, you will get to that. And okay, how far away is Christmas now? So it is a wrong time. And I beg government to listen to them. Call on the banks to make funds available. The central bank to make funds available to the bank. The banks will make funds available to their customers in the branches and at the ATMs. so that the POS does not become the bank of the moment, just like that. You see, it is meant to help in times of need, of when you need speed, and can pay for the convenience of availability of your own fund. It's not meant to be a replacement for the banks. So please, government should do something about it.
Well said, Mr. Sobowale. But now I want to look at the why this might be happening. Of course, we heard the NLC president attribute this to the ill-conceived, I'm reading verbatim, ill-conceived and ill-implemented currency redesign, which you have also highlighted on in the past. But do you think there's more to it than that regarding this?
Obviously. Okay. We all now, in retrospect, we know why the currency redesign came in. And we were rescued by the Supreme Court and some governors who stood up against it. And we thought that was, okay, even up to December, the Supreme Court ruling was up to but we have passed December, and they have ruled that all old and new notes are legal tender. So why should this be? NLC mentioned a point. I don't want to read meaning into it. That maybe some people are trying to incite the people against the government. And government too should look after his own house. It's fair warning. Fair, timely warning. And I will repeat what I said here earlier. It doesn't matter whether it is hoarding, whether it is migration of funds from north to south or whatever. There is scarcity that has to be nipped in the bud and urgently too. So that the incitement that NLC has wisely identified does not translate into violence. Because a very hungry man can be a very angry man. And a cashless man is even a more dangerous person. Okay. You cannot fulfill your needs. It's a terrible thing.
Quote unquote, as said by Mr. Dayo. Now, Mr. Sobowale, my concern is that when we look at the same scenario that occurred around the same time last year, the explanation was around as we've discussed here, was premised around sabotage. Again, we're seeing an explanation premised around, there might be some players around who are inciting this situation. What needs to happen in order for our banking system to secure itself against, this potential incitement, potential sabotage, especially pertaining to cash shortages?
Look, we must separate the political side from the financial side and don't mix them up, which is what we have just done. The other time, it was on the eve of an election. It was a political issue. And people said then it was a political weapon to make sure one Lagbaja never gets into office. But Lagbaja is now the president. Okay, so why should the same thing happen?
But that's the question that I'm asking you. Is at the end of the day, it's still political, is it not?
No.
Okay.
No. Labor is not political. You are mixing it up. Labor is not. Labor is industrial relations. Labor is industrial relations.
We've debated the political role that labor has been playing this year several times.
You still don't get it. Industrial relations, what labor is after. You get me? What is political about that? Pay our workers. Make people okay. Let them have access to their money. It's not even directed solely at government alone. It's the CBN. What is the CBN doing about it? The CBN has responsibility for money in circulation. But there is no money in circulation. So whoever is responsible should do it. That's the financial side of it, availability of funds. The bank says you must have access to your funds as at when due.
That's right.
See, we have no economic crisis that will warrant a run on the banks. And that could happen if people are suspicious that the banks don't have money. Everybody will run to the bank to take whatever they think they have in the banks. God forbid that should happen. So that is why this is labor, what labor has done. It's a welfare score. You get me? Alluding to some people maybe behind it. Is trying to find a solution. Okay, you don't have to dwell on that. Dwell on the positive side of what they are saying.
We're just trying to unpack it in its entirety.
Okay, so at this point, Mr. Sobowale, in the event that these calls by labor are adhered to, how do we ensure that this whatever solution is preferred is sustainable?
It should be sustainable in the interest of government. What is available, what is the solution is that people should have access to their money. That is the trust on which customers put money in the banks. You get me? It is based on trust. The banks will fulfill that trust. The banks have not come out to say government has denied them funds. Nobody has said that. The other one you are talking about, we knew it was on the eve of an election, and it was, we knew the goal, but the goal failed. And I'm saying that the person who was the victim of that is in power now, and Labour is calling on him to do the needful, which is a welcome call, and government should heed that call, because government is in a position to heed that call. That's what I'm saying.
Now, as part of this conversation, the CBN responded by saying that since the assumption of this office, the level of graft has increased. What do you make of this statement? Because, you know, we look at where we are currently, and the general sentiment is that the government coffers are empty, and the government is doing all that's possible to bring in investment and to get themselves liquid again so that the nation can function. And then on the back of that is a statement from the CBN coming saying that the level of graft has increased. What do you make of this statement?
The NLC has answered them that they are not interested in that excuse, that they were put there, the government knew the problem was there, put them there, that they should solve the problem. You get me? If there is graft, if there is whatever, let those who are in charge do the needful, fulfill their obligations, fulfill the pledge of the bank to these customers when they deposited money, that they will have their money as at when due. That is what Labour is saying. Labour is also saying, that is with regard to this telling government that you have a contract to look after the people who put you in office. That if you do not fulfill that contract, there will be resentment, a revolution against you. It is fair warning. Government should heed it. Government should heed it. It's a very clear situation.
Now, Mr. Sobowale, just before we go, I want to dwell on those that are being affected the most, that might be watching and thinking, okay, let me go and rush and get what I can get. What would you like to say to, you know, give some calm?
I'm telling them to rush now. I'm not the one. What I said was that you don't have economic crisis, so around so are they running? It's a sprint event. Am I shooting the gun for them?
On that note, it is not the Olympics of the Naira. Mr. Dayo Sobowale, thank you so much for that.